the clairvoyance of being Presses Limited, and so we rely on press releases. This is actually being recorded in advance, so clairvoyance is most certainly part of this. Kind of. There's basically only one news story that everyone wants me to talk about, and that's going to be Destiny 2. Because there's not that much else going on, and everyone seems to be interested in Destiny 2. But, as we usually do with the setup, we go through my emails first, and there actually is an email that I want to talk about, and it is about Gamescom. It's about the first phase of the registrations for the event, that being the people who are going to be there doing the representations for companies and publishers. It's basically the people who are actually going to be attending the event as exhibitors. And by the first phase, I mean, as they say here, the early bird action of Gamescom ended on 22nd of February with a good result. Around 70% of the planned space for the event is already booked. So in the first bracket for exhibitors to apply to attend the event, 70% of the Gamescom space whole is already been booked. As for a list of companies that have already booked their attendance, they have a brief list saying Astragon Entertainment, Bandai Namco, Big Point, CD Projekt, Deep Silver, EA, Grey Box, Clipser Media, Konami, Microsoft, Ubisoft, and Square Enix, Wargaming, and Warner Brothers. And then they go on about the hardware and accessories segments, listing off Alternate GmbH, Viv and Tribe GmbH, Mifcom GmbH, Roadcat, ending off by saying that esports tournaments are guaranteed by Turtle Entertainment, but also as well as individual companies booking their representation, there are also countries booking their representation and various governments. And on that they say the foreign share of exhibitors lies at 56% on the day of record. A large share of this result is held by the total 13 already registered national pavilions from China, Belgium, France, Hong Kong, Italy, Canada, Colombia, South Korea, Sweden, Peru, Singapore, Spain and Turkey. It was always very interesting seeing sort of national organisations there last year. It was always very interesting because Gamescom actually sort of joins up with a nation sort of co-sponsoring a particular section to help promote an industry. Last year it was Turkey. So it'll be quite interesting to see if that continues this year and what country it's going to be this year. And as a final note, they say in 2016 Gamescom welcomed a total of 345,000 visitors from 97 countries, 30,500 of them trade visitors, including me. 877 exhibitors from 54 countries were represented at the world's biggest event for interactive entertainment, and I will certainly go with that. I haven't been to anything bigger. It has dwarfed anything by far. I think the only thing that actually has a shot of dwarfing it is going to be something like E3. And with E3 now expanding its public profile, having the public tickets that I have talked about before, it'd be interesting seeing this, because this is basically as a E3 Part 2, as a sort of segue, a sequel to all the E3 event. Even last year, it was most apparent, considering a lot of the companies, especially people like Microsoft, were saying, we are going to make more announcements on this later on, because of their big push for the Scorpio, which doesn't come out until around Gamescom this year. So it will be interesting to see the connections between the two of them this year, because it's always been very interesting seeing we'll be announcing more of this later at Gamescom, and this slow sort of creep away from a E3-centric sort of event cycle and news cycle. And with that, we're going on to the story that all of you probably want me to talk about, and that's Destiny 2. This has basically taken over the news cycle over the last couple of days, and even today, because I'm recording this early, it is everywhere. But I know where to find the press releases, and I can go through all the press releases, so I can garnish all the information that is probably out at the moment, and relay that all to you in full. The early part of the release spends most of the time praising Destiny and describing the companies, as most press releases do. But the garnishing of information starts here. As they say, the official Destiny 2 reveal trailer, Rally the Troops, which you've probably seen by now, debuted a character-driven glimpse into Destiny 2's story today. Additionally, the first hands-on gameplay reveal livestream will be broadcast around the world on May 18th. So you will get to see actual gameplay of Destiny 2 in May. The interesting thing about this is that it is nowhere near any events. And then comes the interesting point of, with a fresh start for all players right from the opening cinematic, and that is true. The Rally the Troops trailer, spoiler warning if you haven't seen the trailer, is the tower being destroyed, is basically the end of the world happened, army invaded, everything from the first game is destroyed, so we don't have to carry anything over, we can just make an entirely new map. and all of your stuff is destroyed. So while your character may be able to be carried over, all of your stuff, and I mean all of it, isn't. So all of those special items you spent hundreds of hours getting, or those stuff that you've bought with the silver, no carry over. So it'd be very interesting to see how long the servers for the original Destiny and go on for Destiny 2, and how long the sort of layover is before they just cut off the servers for Destiny and switch it over to Destiny 2. And on the topic of servers, they finish off this opening paragraph by saying what platforms it's going to be for, with its worldwide release being scheduled for September 8th. And they say Destiny 2 will be available on PlayStation 4 systems with additional timed exclusive content. That asterisk means timed exclusive content until at least fall 2018. So consider the exclusive content to be exclusive content the same way that the early release of maps or packs or whatever for Call of Duty is for Call of Duty. Everyone else will get it maybe about a couple of months later. And going on saying the Xbox One, highlighting that you have to have PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold to play it. It's basically an MMO. And finishing off by saying, and for the first time on a new platform, PCs. Destiny 2 is coming to PCs. The game, basically the platform that made Bungie. And it goes on into a quote by Activision CEO Eric Harshberg. Destiny was the biggest launch of a new console video game franchise ever. That phrase, biggest launch, was very apt, because it was kind of a roll of the dice. And by roll of the dice, I mean Activision threw a ridiculously huge amount of money at this game, especially in its advertising for its very early stages. Bungie was basically only known for Halo, so having a new game by Bungie was a gamble by itself, having it be a brand new IP, but also be an MMO-ish shooter for consoles was also a bit new. And then it moves on to the CEO of Bungie, Pete Parsons, saying, the past 3 years have been incredibly inspiring and rewarding for Bungie. To know that millions of players from around the world have forged lasting Destiny memories and have made it their hobby is truly humbling, and we can't wait to continue the journey. This is where the upcoming Destiny 2 beta slated for this summer is brought up. So there is going to be a beta for the game, and you can probably apply for it now. But I'm going to guess that places are going to be limited. They're probably going to have a staggered rollout of a beta. This Destiny 2 beta, slated for this summer, you get by pre-ordering the game. So you're buying in now if you want to get in the beta. That is something I always wave a red flag around. Pre-ordering is buying the game sight unseen. So only really consider going in for the beta if you really just are going to buy Destiny 2 anyway, regardless of its quality, because that is precisely what you're doing. You're buying the game sight unseen through the pre-order to get into the beta. And then it moves on to the story. If people are really interested, from the stuff that I've always seen, people usually just go on raids. In Destiny 2, the last safe city of Earth has fallen and lays in ruins, occupied by a powerful enemy and his elite army, the Red Legion. Every player creates their own character called a Guardian, humanity's chosen protectors. As a Guardian in Destiny 2, players must master new abilities and weapons to reunite the city's forces, stand together and fight back to reclaim their home. There is something for almost every type of gamer in Destiny 2, including gameplay for solo, cooperative, and competitive players set within a vast, evolving, and exciting universe. It is far too easy for me to make a crack saying evolving and exciting universe is going, yeah, because the story only becomes decent when you buy the DLC. And they finish off by giving the absolute specifics of the actual game itself, saying Destiny 2 is currently rating pending. It's probably going to have the same rating as it is now. I wouldn't be surprised. It's probably going to have the same writer, same art style, same everything, so it's probably going to have the same rating as before, but at the moment it's RP, and it will have a suggested retail price of $59.99 of the dollars. So it's about the same price as a normal AAA title, anywhere between probably £50-60. And then they go on talking about the additional costs, saying that there is going to be a Destiny 2 Game Plus Expansion Pass bundle for $89.99, a Destiny 2 Digital Deluxe Edition featuring premium digital content for $99.99, the limited edition version at $99.99, and the Collector's Edition featuring a fully wearable Destiny 2 Frontier bag, expansion pass, premium digital content, and Cabal featured collector's box for £249.99. £300. Going back by 30 seconds, having me sort of berate the pre-ordering sight unseen purchase as a bit of a bad thing. Spending £300 sight unseen. Yeah, no, don't. Bloody don't. If you want to get the figurines, go to Forbidden Planet or something. It's... Ooh, scene change. Yes, I look different. This is the day after. I'm shooting the outro the day after I did the initial edit for the video. Yeah, so I'm going to end it there. There were a few other news stories I wanted to talk about, but for one, there isn't time, and for two, they're kind of short. First is that Brenda Romero, someone who's had their hand in the Dragon Alliance stuff, the Ghost Recon games, the Dungeons & Dragon games, is getting the special award from BAFTA in April when they have the video game BAFTAs. Telltale Games released their first trailer for the Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy game. It seems quite interesting because the big bad guy for it is Thanos, which is going to be the big bad guy for Infinity War in a couple of years' time. So it's either they're just making stuff up as they go along and using the comics as reference, or the movies as reference, and it's just something that happens at the same time, or it's going to be a kind of pseudo-adaptation of their bits, what's going on. I'm going more with the first, which is quite different from things like the Walking Dead games, because they're stuff that was in the same world, but a sort of a parallel tangent that goes along with it. It's something that's in it, but completely separate from all of the TV stuff. This is just making shit up as they go along and doing what they want. And the last story was that Compulsion Games updated We Happy Few with the Maiden Home update, which is really irritating because every single time I go to record the bloody Permadeath series for it, they always do an update and I have to go over. So, yeah, I am going to go back to We Happy Few at some point when I can start recording without there being an update. Then I will do that. I should get on that rather quickly. And so, with that, if you found this episode informative, please consider subscribing and showing the video around, and I will see you next Tuesday for the next Press Rush.